Hey Moon lovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. This is episode 17 and it's also take 2 of episode 17 because you might have heard me say last week that Spotify are shifting over to this new platform called Riverside, and for some reason it goes offline really easily. Not sure why that is. So I was recording for 20 minutes and realised it had stopped recording. So here I am starting all over again. It was such a good episode as well. So I hope this one serves you just as well. Good job I made some notes and wasn't doing it off the cuff today. So where are we? We are at the last quarter moon. So we are in between two full moons. We've got a new moon in Cancer coming up on the 5th of July. And yesterday, so it's the 29th of June today, Saturday. And yesterday, Friday 28th, we saw the last quarter moon in the very impatient sign of Aries. And the last quarter moon is always square to the sun, and the sun is in sensitive Cancer. So imagine that fire in the pot of waters, like dropping some kind of lava into the water will create, get the pot to start boiling. And if you've experienced any of that kind of feeling over the past 24 hours or so, that could be why. So, breathe, take a step back to reflect, just go do something else instead. Go get into nature, put your feet on the ground, because we are between those two Capricorn full moons, and that's all about the earth and the water this month. So the last quarter moon can be a crossroads or a turning point, and it really has been just that for me. Whilst preparing for this week's episode, I took a look at my Moonology diary, and Yasmin Boland had written these words: "A Mercury-Uranus meeting also makes it a fantastic week to have a conversation that changes everything." Wow, she couldn't have been more right. And that really is what has happened for me this week. And I will divulge more of that story over time. I'm not going to give it all away now because I'm not even sure where it's leading myself, but it is really relevant to today's episode and where we are in the energy of things. So, as I said, in between two full moons, we don't have a full moon in Cancer this year, but we do have two full moons in Capricorn. And Capricorn medicine teaches us the wisdom of being in our physical bodies here on the earth. So Thursday night, when I normally would have been at my dance class, street dancing, being in my body, instead I was at a sound journey with a guy called Seeker. So he's known as Spirit Seeker, if you want to check him out, check his music out. But he has lived in New Zealand for 30 years. He's actually originally from the UK, but he's come over from New Zealand. He's on tour in this country, and he uses that wisdom keepers, tribal elders type of sounds, didgeridoos, stones, bones, feathers, leaves, voice. And I really experienced being in my body and as if I was curled up in the center of the earth by the end of it. It was absolutely amazing. So where maybe gongs and singing bowls can take you into like a cosmic out of your body experience, this really made me feel in my body. So Capricorn is connected to the wise elder. Capricorn asks us to, get real, to take a look at what's important, to be conscious about, who and what receives our time and our energy, where we give that time and energy to who and to what. And whilst this all might sound a little mundane, Capricorn's magic is to work with what is and what matters. Capricorn asks us who we are deep down in the center of our earthly body and teaches us to live with purpose. So letting go of things that are distracting us and creating healthy boundaries. And I've had a conversation a couple of times this week about boundaries. And we have noted, both Tom and I have noted, that for us, we have definitely grown over the past few years in our ability to have boundaries, particularly with clients and money. And for me, what I would have overgiven before and taken that responsibility away from that person and put it on myself so that they would feel better, I've learned how to say no to that and give that responsibility back to that person so that they can grow and learn. So, it's very Saturn. And with Saturn, the planet of boundaries and lessons and physical reality, he is stationing today from the 29th, and he will be going retrograde until November 15th, which is my brother's birthday, during Scorpio season. Saturn is retrograde every year for at least 4 months, so it's not unusual, but it does tell us something about what we can expect to maybe show up in our life or the world around us. So boundaries, lessons, physical reality. Capricorn, Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn. So we've got this strong Saturn energy. Remember, when a planet stations to either go retrograde or when it turns back to going direct, it is stronger. And that tanker comes into port and it slows right down and the waves get bigger. That is Saturn right now. Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. So we can expect the overall mood to be a little bit more serious. There might be a feeling of melancholy, pessimism, might feel more reflective, might be contemplating things. And this time will ask us to reassess our priorities, our responsibilities, our goals, all those very Capricorn subjects, and take a good long look at how we have structured our lives. So, something could feel like a sense of something being delayed, a bit of frustration might come to the surface. And you might want to get your journals out and, just take a few notes down here. I've got a couple of prompts for you. The wisdom of Saturn is asking us to take stock of our lives, but in a practical way. So practical steps which are based in reality rather than that sort of wishful thinking. Wishful thinking is your Neptune in Pisces, but and Neptune's going retrograde too. But this is where we are, that strong Capricorn energy in our security and safety zone of Cancer. So it's the earth in the water. Saturn also reminds us that if something is worth investing in, put in the time and, do it, give it your best shot, do it to the best of your ability. Working with Saturn, or, it would be a bit like, you want to sit with the elders and learn stories from your grandparents, from the grandmother, the grandfather, the wisdom keepers, the wise elders, the wise teacher that knows exactly what we need, what medicine we need. And that exact thing has happened to me this week. I have met a wise elder in a chance meeting who has given me some very Capricorn reality check advice, but also it is surrounded by the lovely spiritual, psychic, watery subjects of the paranormal and all that kind of stuff. So that Pisces and Cancerian watery stuff, the Neptunian stuff, but with that grounded, very authoritative advice and wisdom from the elders. So, I really got that this week, and it may change the trajectory for me. So watch this space. But anyway, make a little bit of time for sitting with all of this, and, get your journal out and just ask yourself, and you might want to write these questions down. So firstly, are there any self-limiting beliefs that you are ready to change, and how can you do them in a really practical way? So before I came on to do this today, I had a 2-hour session online with a lovely friend of mine, Susie Musk, who does this amazing healing, energetic work with you. And I literally have her in my phone as Susie, blasting money blocks with Susie. And so I had got some stuff running that's been triggered recently by various different things. And, this Saturn stuff, it helps to bring it up to be seen. And rather than let it consume me, I have, done something about it, taken practical steps, booked an appointment, spent 2 hours doing some, energetic work, but around some practical matters like money. Another question for you is, are the people and the things, that maybe projects that you are putting your time and energy into, are they actually aligned with who you want to become? And I have been putting some time in recently to a new project. And originally I was putting my time into what turned out to be the wrong person. My Cancerian and Year of the Dog loyalty was, limiting me and blocking me from actually working with the right person who I am aligned with. And the question was asked to me this week, who do you want to be? And I actually stumbled with that answer. So these are things to sit and ponder on. Get your journals out. And also, another question is that one about, what you're wanting to commit all your energy to what, are you willing to commit to something that is reality and not that wishful thinking thing? So this is your Saturn in Pisces, not going all dreamy and rose tinted glasses, taking those off and putting your clear glasses on, seeing what's really there, taking your glasses off completely and really seeing with your real eyes, realize what is rooted in reality. So that is Saturn in Pisces. So we are basically now in the outer planets retrograde season. So as I said earlier, the planet Neptune is the next one to join in. So that will be on July the 2nd. And that will be retrograde right through till December the 7th. Neptune is the planet of dreams, illusions, mysticisms, and it can cast a cloud that's could be all sort of magical and ethereal and kind of fairy-like, translucent, that kind of thing. But it can also be cloudy, foggy, and put a mist over everything. So a bit like looking out the window and 1 minute it's clear blue sky and then you see it's got this like mist all over it and all of a sudden it's gone cloudy and you can't see properly and the sun's got a bit blurry. That's kind of the energy of this. And remember, when a planet is retrograde, it gets stronger. Usually, because it's an outer planet, Neptune, it's much, much further away. It takes 165 years for it to go round the zodiac. So those outer planets are usually more gentle, a little bit more subtle. But this particular retrograde, Neptune is at the 29th degree of Pisces. Neptune is in its home sign in Pisces, and Pisces is the end, if you like, of the zodiac. So this is the very last degree, the final destination in its home before it starts its journey all over again when it finally moves into Aries later on. So we really are at the end of a 165-year cycle. So it's worth taking note of this shift as well is happening at the same time as this Saturn retrograde, which are both in that sign of Pisces. As I said earlier, take the rose. It's going to take the rose tints off. Pisces can tend to be a bit rose tinted and see, the lovely rosy side of everything. But we've got that reality check of the Capricorn full moon. And even though the Cancer season should be sunny, it could be a little duller than usual. And the veil would be lifting to show us what's really going on out there. And ain't that just the truth? So just like when you get to the last chapter of an amazing book that you just couldn't put down, we are at that point where we're just about to move forwards. We're at the end of this book before we start the next one in the series. So we'll be moving into this Aquarian age. But before we can do that, we need to learn to fully trust ourselves, to know ourselves, to trust our intuition, to stop doing that escapism thing that seems to be so prevalent these days, numbing out, addictions, all of that escapism, like, getting stuck online in a world that's not really your world. I saw recently this, that this thing called the internet and our phones have given us the ability to connect with more people across the world but less connection with those closest to us, those people around us. So you just see everywhere, you see people not connecting with the direct people around them because they're too busy looking at somebody else on their phone. Anyway, yeah, so getting into this real time, sitting with it, noticing, spending some time offline. And so we move now on to the new moon in Cancer. So I would normally encourage you to find out more about all of that by coming to my online moon ceremony that I hold every new moon, every full moon. But I am going to be in Cornwall for this new moon because it is my birthday on the 7th of July. And I'll be holding my own little moon ceremony while I'm down there. But I am having some time offline. Just before that new moon, the sun in Cancer is squaring the moon's node. So remember, the moon's nodes are not planets or anything, they're actual points. So your south node and your north node. So it's squaring that. So any stories that are related to your living situation, that's your Cancer, anything related to your career, you could be reaching another turning point this week. Yeah. So, you've got that last quarter moon, turning point, crossroads. So this could be like a milestone. So just take note of that around career and living situation. So this is the 7th new moon of the year. My birthday is 7/7, and it has been 7 years since I met Tom. So we'll be celebrating that whilst we're away. Hopefully neither of us will get that 7-year itch. It's also nearly 7 years. It was 7 years at the end of August that I lost my dad. And I really sense from the messages that I've had coming into me recently in this past week and over this year, really, I sense it's really time for a fresh start and a fresh cycle, 7-year cycle to begin for me. Our lives tend to go in these 7-year cycles. They certainly do for me anyway. So it really is time. And I literally got an email this morning that says, you need to move on with your life. God gave your life to you, not anyone else. It's your life. Use it to its fullest. So, I literally got that in an email from a wise elder. And I can't wait to tell you more about that story. So being in Cornwall for me is a chance to sort of zoom out from everything, take everything in from an eagle-eyed view. And the sound journey that we went to the other night with Seeker, he actually did a guided meditation, and he got us to the point where that there was a bird of prey. And when we looked at the bird of prey, when our eyes connected, we had the ability to see through the bird of prey's eyes, to have that eagle-eyed view. Also, whilst being in that sound journey, I kind of had this bit of epiphany that for me personally, I feel safest and most secure when I'm in my body, which, as a Cancerian, that's like when I'm in my actual shell. And I know that some people tend to need to be outside of their body to kind of feel, that comfort, that safe thing. So I know lots of people who are very comfortable with outer body experiences, of psychedelic experiences, but I'm actually feel best when I'm on my yoga mat doing yoga, when I'm dancing. And I really did experience that with that didgeridoo vibrations deep down in the middle of the earth. I mean, it was really deep down in the belly. And, the epiphany for me then was I feel most safe and secure when I'm in my body. So that's something for you all to sit and ponder as well. Just another little thing here, a couple of days after this new moon, we've got lovely romantic Venus in Cancer right now, and a couple of days after that new moon, Venus forms a sextile so that's an aspect to Uranus. So you've got Venus in a nice, happy, joyful aspect to Uranus. And remember, Uranus is a game changer. Uranus is still in earthy Taurus. So this will be an invitation to step outside of the mundane patterns, and particularly in terms of creative self-expression. So I pulled a card, particularly in relation to this interesting thing that's been, changing the course of things, this interesting conversation, life-changing conversation that I had this week. And the card that I got, I thought I would share it with you rather than just pull one for this episode. And the card that came out of the Oracle of the Seven Energies by Colette Baron Reid was the Awakening Genius card. And it is around communication, creativity, listening, being heard, writing, ideas, sharing, and vibration. And this card's concepts are about the spirit of creative expression. So I'm just doubling that Venus in a sextile, happy aspect to Uranus. Really is about that creative expression, bringing forth new information, birthing something new, knowing that your ideas matter. And that is a message for someone out there. And funny enough, this card has literally got the picture, I can't show you, but it's got the picture of a wise elder on the front. So I've got a couple of minutes left. I promised I wouldn't go over half an hour this week. Apologies for last week's 40-minute episode, a little bit long. Got a bit excited. Just other thing to leave you with. A lovely friend of mine, she showed me that she had this new ring with a pink opal in it, and I was having a scout around to see what would be a good crystal for this new moon coming up in Cancer, this kind of energy that we're in. And pink opal is used for emotional healing, clearing and calming the heart, filling you with, particularly in your aura, with peaceful energy, and encourages the release of fear, worry and anxiety. And lastly, I just wanted to do a little shout out to TLC Radio UK, who air my podcast every Monday on their station at 2:22 p.m. I just want to thank them for sharing this every week. And, anybody who shares this information to get it out to whoever needs it, please do get in touch with me. Any questions, anything that you'd like me to talk more about or less about, anyone that you think would be a good person to interview or something else, what would you like to hear more of? I'm going to leave you with that. And I won't be around next week. There will be no episode next week, but there will be the week after when I'm back from Cornwall.